Alright, back right on the beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Hop Butcher for the World, and they're out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Sliders. So this is a Mosaic, Simcoe and Nelson Sauvin hopped American Pale Ale that comes in at 6% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed, time of review, and this can is just under 5 weeks old. I want to give a huge thanks, shout out once again to Hop Butcher, along with a friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Cameron, for hooking me up with this beer. Both of them sent this beer my way, and in the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video as I did that contains all the goodies that both of them sent my way. And they both sent beer mails around the same time, and Cameron didn't know that Hop Butcher was sending me one. And he sent me 9 different beers from the Midwestern region of the US. One of them was from Hop Butcher, just so happened to be one of the same that Hop Butcher sent my way. So I'm not complaining. Let's just say that. Anyway, so this is a American Pale Ale. It's going to be a hazy Pale Ale. And I always get excited when Hop Butcher or anybody sends me lower ABV beers from Hop Butcher, because a lot of the beers I drink from them are their double IPAs and triple IPAs. So really excited about this one. Also, the hop bill of this one is a mashup of 2 of their double IPAs. I think I reviewed both of them on the channel. Their Beef Dip, which is brewed with Simcoe hops, and then their Kielbasa King, which is a blend of Mosaic and Nelson. So all 3 of those hops are in this one, and they're keeping consistent. Trying not to look at, I really can't read the tasting notes on the back with the font here, but they got their, the kind of, I want to say food series, not really, but they just pay homage to a lot of local businesses in Chicago and a lot of local foods and like local landmarks and stuff. And we have sliders. So pretty excited about this one. Let's crack it open and get in the glass, see what we got going on here. I mean, I like this hop combo. Their I'll Be Frank was, I believe it was Simcoe and Nelson, and it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. Now, this has Simcoe and Nelson, but also has the addition of Mosaic. So I'm hoping it works a little bit better here. Give it a pour, but yeah, that's that. Ooh, okay. All right. We might have an issue here. This carbonation is fucking gnarly. I don't know if you can hear it. It's insane. Now, this was, oh man, it smells awesome though. This was kept in my fridge. They sent it to me. Put everything in the fridge. But yeah, the carbonation is crazy. As you see, I'm not really pouring it all that aggressively. So hopefully everything's okay with it. We'll throw it over here for the time being. And hopefully I remember to read the tasting notes at the end on the back. So yeah, that has that, I haven't said this in a while, but turkey gravy. Yeah, that looks like straight on turkey gravy. Might be a little bit darker on camera. In person, straight up turkey gravy. Murky, turbid, that like deep, dark, yellow-orange color. 3-finger oven. Insanely creamy head. Like that head is immaculate, like fantastic. But it seems like carbonation might be a little bit higher than it needs to be. Yeah, that is opaque. There's nothing getting through that when I hold it up to the light. And of course, we have it in the Hop Butcher glass, which makes everything look a little bit better, in my opinion. Like I love this glass. The fact that it can hold a whole can when you don't have a 4-finger head. Actually 3, take that back. But yeah, that head looks awesome. It's like off-white. It almost looks like, I don't know, like a little bit like eggnog. It's insane. All right, let's get a nose. That smells fucking amazing. So I'm probably going to do a lot of a lot of comparisons to that I'll Be Frank, because again, that was Simcoe and Nelson, right? That beer let me down because it had this abrasive kind of earthiness on the finish, and I didn't really get any like white grape you typically get from Nelson. Let me tell you, white grape for days. It's a sweet white grape. Like I got a couple in my hand. I'm, bring them to my mouth to eat, and I just get that whiff. There's also like passion fruit and guava, very tropical-esque. Yeah, passion fruit, guava, a little bit of pineapple, touch of peach. And then underlying like zesty kind of citrus, I would say like a grapefruit. It's also a little bit of like an earthy kind of floral pine character. It does have a little bit of like aggressiveness from the green side of things, so a little bit of that hop burn. Not too big though. It just smells very fresh, and this is just under 5 weeks old, so it's not like super duper fresh, but it's fresh enough. There's also a touch of like a grainy kind of bready malt character, maybe a little bit of that confectionery vanilla thing, maybe from the yeast. Yeah, it smells very vibrant and bright. A lot of tropical and stone fruits. And again, that white grape is really screaming. Mosaic is probably just helping out with the tropical characters, not really getting any berry in the nose. Actually, I take it back. Maybe a touch of like a blueberries, very slight. I don't know. It smells awesome. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again to Hop Butcher and Cameron. Nose was better than the taste, 100%. But the taste isn't bad. It's actually pretty good. I guess I have to keep in mind that this is a 6% American Pale Ale, clearly a hazy. So a lot of times, you know, that pungency to the flavor isn't going to carry over when you're, 6% or less. By mouthfeel are spectacular, despite the fact that it looked like super carbonation on this one. The mouthfeel is more of like a mild to moderate mouthfeel, more approaching the mild side of things. Like, it is definitely softer and not as spritzy as I anticipated. The body is not super light and watery like you'd expect, maybe. It's like lower side of medium body, approaching medium. That's fine. So body's nice. Mouthfeel's really nice, especially if this was a hazy. They never really call their stuff like New England or hazy or anything. They just always say double IPA or American Pale Ale in this case. This is good for a hazy, lower ABV hazy. Couple things. Number one, the nose was immaculate, but that did not carry over to its heat. In the taste, this definitely has, I believe it or not, it has this like strong green character on the back of the palate. I'm not going to say hot burn because it's not necessarily a hot burn. It just has a, like a greenness to it, a freshness to it. It's not like burning my throat or anything. It's just, it's noticeable on the back end. All right, so let's look at the color of this anyway. Yeah, that just has that. That is like a turkey gravy, like a turkey's gravy. I was going to say stock, but more gravy-esque. But anyway, let's go in for one more sip here. So up front, I do get that bready, biscuity, almost grainy kind of malt character dives underneath the palate. After that, the palate is more citrus heavy for me. Has a lot of like zesty, pithy grapefruit. That's the one thing that actually is on the back of the palate on the finish. There's this zesty, pithy grapefruit kind of bitterness on the back of the palate. But there's a little bit of like an orange juice, tangerine juice. Midway through the palate, I do get that white grape. It's not necessarily sweet. It's just like picture eating grapes without like the sweetness you would get with it. Maybe like an underripened grape. Slight hints of like a nondescript red berry, a little bit of that blueberry. And that passion fruit guava pineapple thing that I was getting in the nose, that's the one thing that really didn't carry over to a T on the palate, which is kind of a bummer because that's just a great profile. I love passion fruit and pineapple guava, fine by me. You can't taste the ABV at 6%. This drink's a little bit bigger from the body and mouthfeel standpoint, I feel. Like if someone said this was 7 or 7.5, I'd be like, okay. But from a flavor aspect, it drinks like it's a 5% pale ale. Like it doesn't have the intensity or the oomph that I got in the nose. The nose was immaculate and just amazing, over the moon, but it did not translate exactly to the taste. So, as far as like a rating on this one, I'm going to take another sip and kind of calculate it real quick. I also want to say this doesn't have the issue that a lot of Hop Butcher beers have, but a lot of hazies nowadays have, where it's too sweet. This is, I'd say semi-sweet up front, right? But on the finish, it's finished is semi to full on dry. Mild bitterness, but it's a big dryness. And with that like greenness, and there's like a little bit of like a piney kind of floral sensation as well. Piney earthiness. It really stops this from being too sweet. I'll say this. I don't love this one, but I do like it. I think it's nice. I think maybe between this and the I'll Be Frank, something with my palate is not working as well as I want it to between the Simcoe and Nelson. I don't know if it's just too much of that, like that herbaceous kind of dank, piney, just earthy thing that I get from both of those hops, like separately, like Simcoe, a lot of people get the cattiness. I just usually get like a big dankness. Same thing with Nelson. You get that diesel character a lot of people talk about. A lot of times I get a herbaceousness and a dankness. This just has a finish where Now, this didn't kill it as much as the All Beef Frank, but I'm also not super enamored with the finish in comparison to a lot of their other beers. It just has a little bit of a dirtiness to it. It's not bad in the least, though. It's actually pretty solid overall. And I have no issues, like saying that, I say a lot, no issues giving sliders from Hop Butcher. We're going to give this a very, we'll give it a low 4 out of 5. I'll go 3.9 out of 5. I think that's the best I can do with this one. Again, not like over the moon with this one, but at the same time, it's not, again, that All Beef Frank wasn't undrinkable. I did finish the rest of it. I gave it a 3.65, I think. I think it was a 3.65. This is definitely like a quarter point better than it, because it's 6% and it has, it has a nice complexity for something that's 6%. It's not amazing, and it's Hop Butcher, and I usually expect amazing beers. Anyway, we will do the tasting notes here, even though I can barely read. Lush tropical in the nose, yes. Lush tropical for sure. It was very lush in the nose. Did not carry over all that much into the taste. Pleasant pine. Now here's where I'll say it's pine, but is it pleasant? No, because I'm getting that earthy kind of abrasive kind of finish that kind of throws it off for me. And then last it says sweet grape. I think I said in the taste that it wasn't sweet grape. It was grape without the sweetness, right? So I would say all of these kind of pointed more towards the aroma than the actual taste for me. So yeah, 3.9 out of 5. 3.9 out of 5, I think, is a solid score for this one. Can't go much higher than that. Price point availability, don't know, but I think folks used to say these are around like $12.99, $13.99. So let's just say between like $13 to $15 for a 4-pack of that. If this is your jam, that's a good price point for a hazy 6% pale ale. $13 would be fine. 15 on the higher end, of course. And then availability when it comes to Hop Butcher. Who knows anymore? I don't know anything about availability, but if you're in the Chicagoland area, you can get their stuff. They do get on Tavora occasionally, and here in the Buffalo, New York area, we do get drops of their stuff. Every 4 to 6 weeks, we'll get a couple beers. Maybe that's the same for you, maybe it's not. I just know that again, something with that Simcoe and Nelson combination, specifically for these 2 batches of beers, the All Beef Frank and this, just not really doing it for my palate, but at the same time, you got to be honest, and when they started sending me beers, 4 years ago, I remember talking to Jeremiah and he said, I want you to be honest. Because I said, yeah, I'd love to try out your beer, but I'm going to be honest. He said, we want nothing more but your honesty. And honestly, this is a good, solid American pale ale, but it's not my favorite from them. And between this and the All Beef Frank, there's something up with that Simcoe Nelson combination that I've been, experiencing here in the last couple weeks. So anyway, I'm actually going to go and review another beer after this from Hop Butcher. It's going to be their Regeneration Station. I'm not going to post them on the same day. I'm actually going to post it probably a week or 2 from now. But considering this is 6% and that's 4.5, I can sneak in a couple of beers today. So if you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. It's a new release from them. Pretty sure anyway. And 6%, you really can't taste it. It's just, I love Simcoe and Nelson on their own, and I don't know how many times I've had them in like a hop bill like this or in the All Beef Frank, but man, just didn't do it for me. Kind of bummed out. Anyway, to the next one. Cheers.